Now I'm going to pick up where I left off last week. What I'm trying to do is kind of go through our companies. These are companies that we've talked about previously. I'm going to give updates where there are updates to give, and Timberline's one of them. But I'm also going to set the stage because these stories are really good and they have a lot of work coming up. And I think people need to kind of like get their mindset again around what the thesis is for these individual stories. And I'm going to try to present that. Now, I'm going to start here with Timberline because this is actually one of the most interesting stories that popped up this week. Okay, they put out a news release a couple days ago. In fact, it was yesterday. That says they returned higher grade gold at the Eureka project in Nevada. What does it mean by higher grade? Well, okay, a few months ago, this is going back into middle part of 2021, the company drilled what are called reverse circulation holes into the water well target. This is basically a big target that's down dip from the existing resource, which is about 1,000,000 ounces at a gram per ton, call it. Anyway, this target that's down dip, it's gently the hill slope gently dives off and these beds dip underneath it. This target was identified quite some time ago, about a year and a half or two ago, and the companies actually poked a few holes in it. They poked these RC holes, reverse circulation. When an RC drill goes down into the ground, the bit actually breaks up the rock. It's very vigorous in how it does this. It grinds it up into small particles, and then the air pressure pulls those particles, or basically like a vacuums them out of the hole. And then there's a machine at the top of the rig that basically catches all that debris, and they take a sample of it. And that's how you get your sample for assay. Okay, so reverse circulation, very aggressive drilling, but it's cheap and it can be effective. But the company noticed something. Okay, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. And because of what they noticed, they decided to go ahead and do a core hole. This is when you drill a stick of rock. You actually drill down and you recover the entire stick of rock using a hollow tube, we'll call it, with a diamond bit on the end. Okay, now what is the difference? Well, the diamond drilling is very gentle. You tend to get much better recoveries, like all the stuff that you're trying to collect comes up. It doesn't get beat to bits and stuff. And you tend to get very, very good recoveries in areas where RC drilling fails, and that's usually down on the water table. In this case, that's the case. Well, let's see what happens. So we have a comparison here. There's gold assays on the top there. You can see 36.6 meters of a gram in the RC hole, and then the company they expedited a section of the core from 140.8 to 163. In fact, they got the bottom bit coming back here soon too. But they found the grade was nearly 6 times as high as the RC hole. Wow. Okay, this is enough to wake everyone up. Why would this happen? Okay, first of all, that's a 140 gram meter hole. That's a great intercept already. Very good grades for Carlin system in Nevada. That is remarkable. That's a great outcome. Let's go to the next slide. Now, why would this phenomena happen? Well, I've put 2 pictures here. I put core on the left and RC cuttings on the right here. Now, what you can see in the core, even though it is broken up and the ground is just normally broken up there, the core drilling technique gives you pretty good recovery. So see all that kind of really fine, mushy stuff, almost looks like mud in some of those rows of core. That fine stuff, turns out, is where a lot of the gold is. In fact, probably most of the gold is in that fine material. There's very, very, very fine-grained pyrite scattered through that darker gray material. Now, notice there's also this yellow and orange stuff. Well, those are orpiment and realgar, 2 minerals that are commonly associated with high-grade Carlin gold mineralization. So, as a geologist, you see that and you go, my gosh, I mean, this stuff must run gangbusters. And it did. Okay, the results from that interval were fantastic. All right. Now let's go over here to the RC hole. This was the RC hole that was drilled more or less right adjacent to this core hole, but it was drilled earlier and the results were not so bueno. Okay. Well, first of all, you can see in the RC trips, yes, there's some of that orpiment and maybe even a little bit of realgar you can see in there. But notice there's not a lot of that fine mud. That fine mud turns out got washed away when they were RC drilling. Well, what does that mean? You lost your gold. I mean, that's it, pure and simple. So there's a big issue. RC drilling apparently in this on this property has been to the detriment of gold assays, at least based on this comparison. And this needs to be rectified by drilling core. No more RC. All right. So the other thing that's happened here, you can see some white or kind of tan chips in that RC tray. Those aren't from, look it over in the core. There's no tan and stuff. No, no. Where are they coming? They're coming from somewhere up higher in the hole. What that means is in the RC hole, there was contamination. It's basically broken material falling down the hole and actually getting into those sample intervals, yet diluting the sample once again. So again, detrimental to the resulting gold assay. But I think the company has figured out what's going on here. Okay, this is super important. Now, you got to bear in mind that this property has been explored by many people over a long time. In fact, the current team has only been there just a short while compared to most of the work that's been done here. So this revelation is really, I would say, we'll call it, should be credited to this current team. They've recognized this problem and they've now demonstrated that the core drilling technique is going to be far more suitable for this property. Let's go to the next slide. Now let's talk about these results in the context. Okay, first of all, over here on the left, you'll see the footprint of the Lookout Mountain resource. That's that big red blob with the kind of a dark reddish boundary around it. That's about 1 million ounces of a gram. Okay, now it was mostly RC drilled. So guess what? My bet is that if they go back and start core drilling in there, they're going to find out that's a heck of a lot higher grade. Okay, but then see all the red circles that are down to the right of that resource. That's this water well area, and those are the RC and core holes. Now, the core hole that was just completed, you can see over here on the right. The yellow line is actually the section line. So we're going to go over here. If you remember way back when I first talked about this story, I presented this as kind of a big bowl or basin, like, feature. And sure enough, this drilling has shown that this thing is basically a bedding control deal, like a blanket-like feature that dips down to the ground and pops back up again. Okay, the core hole that was just announced, 220C, is over there towards the right, and you can see the whopping big intercept there. Okay, that's compared to the RC, that's a monster. Okay, most of the rest of the holes in that picture are RC. Okay, that means the company will need to go back and do core drilling routinely on this target, and hopefully can demonstrate similar results. This is revolutionary, guys. That target is potentially capable. Like if you look at the footprint, the size of it, the scale of this thing is enormous. It's easily capable of hosting a couple million ounces. Now, why do I say? Well, because there's a deposit to the north of Timberline here that now belongs to I-80. It's the Ruby Hill and Archimedes property. And the deposit there looked just like what you see in this cross section. Okay, so and that one was about 2.5 or 3 million ounces. Okay, so I think the company is now demonstrating they have a replicate of the Archimedes and Ruby Hill system here. Lots more work to do. They have the big IP anomaly that you can see in that dark gray. That's going to be a subject of their drilling here soon. But what's really cool is I think they can, from this point, doing core drilling, they can take this forward and quickly demonstrate this is not just a large low-grade inventory. This is going to turn out to be a substantial higher grade deposit. Don't forget that over there at Oswego, which is on the right-hand side of that IP anomaly, they did some drilling there too. I'm very anxious to see what the assays come back from that area, but that one should be hopefully shoot the lights out kind of stuff as well. This is a big target. This is a big Carlin system. They've now demonstrated they got high grade. I can't tell you how happy I am. If it is cheap too. Okay, this stock right now, because hardly anybody understands what's going on here, they kind of threw up their hands and gave up. This is the time to jump in. This is an amazing story, and it will be a great success this year. It's just gonna take off from here. So let's go to the next slide.